9 things that will block your blessings. Number 1, a lack of faith. When you don't believe in yourself and your abilities, when you don't believe that you're equipped and that you're capable and able to do the assignment and the work that God has created you to do, it blocks you. Because when you don't believe it, you don't take the action. You don't take the action, you don't take the steps, you don't make plans. And if you do make plans, you somehow find a way to sabotage those plans. And so when you don't believe and you don't have faith, that will keep you stuck, going in circles, repeating these same cycles over and over and over again until you begin to have a certain level of belief, not only in yourself, but also a strong belief in God. God don't make mistakes. So if he gave you something to do, you are already equipped to do what he gave you the assignment to do and to carry out. Secondly, a lack of self-worth. When you don't know your value and your worth, you will tolerate and take all kind of crap, not just from others, but from yourself. So when you don't have a sense of self-worth and value in who you are, then it shows up in your relationships. It shows up in the food you eat. It shows up in your finances. It shows up in your mental health. It shows up in your family dynamics. It shows up in every area of our life. Ayanna Von Zant said it best. When you really don't heal the wounds of your past, it bleeds over into every area of your life. And the reason I say low self-worth is a wound is because it is a wound, and it's usually a trauma wound from being rejected or feeling abandoned or feeling invisible or feeling like you had to overcompensate as a child to be seen and to feel worth something. You had to become an overachiever. And so lack of self-worth will block you from your blessings. It will cause you to be in the wrong relationship, in the wrong career, in the wrong city at the wrong time. And so we want to begin to look at our self-worth and how much we value us as women. Next is lack of accountability. This is huge because when you blame everybody and they mama for your life and where you are, you don't take accountability. And when you don't take accountability, you don't have awareness of self. And when you don't have awareness of self, you can't grow. So learning how to be accountable for your life, where you are at this moment. We all have trauma. Nobody got out of childhood without trauma. So we can't use trauma as an excuse. We all have had past perceived failures. So we can't use failure as an excuse. We all have had situations and experiences in life that may have broke us down. But we still have to be accountable for today, where we are today, because no one can live our life for us. No one can make our choices for us. No one can do anything for us. We are the ones who are responsible and accountable for where we are right now in our life. We can't blame our daddy. We can't blame our mom. We can't blame our siblings. We can't blame our kids. We can't blame our husbands, our fiancés, our exes. We can't blame nobody. We have to take full accountability for our life and for what we've come here to do. Because at the end of the day, God is going to judge us for what we did with the time, the gifts, the talents, and everything he gave us. So learning how to take accountability is crucial. Next, a lack of self-acceptance. When you look at yourself and you compare yourself to other people, or you put yourself down, or you pick yourself apart, or you just don't accept all of you, like you accept a part of you. And a lot of this is a trauma response, because in childhood we learn what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. We learn different ways of seeing ourselves and seeing the world. But at the end of the day, when it comes to self-acceptance, one of the biggest things is really giving every part of you a voice. There's an excellent book by, I forgot the author's name, but he's a psychologist, and he came up with something called the family system. And it's all about internal family systems, and it's all about acknowledging the different parts of yourself. It's a book I highly recommend, especially when you're on a healing journey and when you're ready to level up your life, because this book talks a lot about It's okay to embrace all of you. Every part of you may need a voice, you know, and give that part of you that voice, but also recognize that some of the parts of you, some of the parts within me, they can also cause a lot of damage in our relationships, in our households, in our finances, in our self-esteem, and whether or not we go after our goals and dreams. So it's an amazing book that talks a lot about, you know, learning how to accept yourself and work with the parts of you that exist. And there are many exercises that it gives in that book and different meditations that you can start to do to integrate all of you. Next, I want to talk about not keeping your word to yourself. When we don't keep our word to ourselves, we literally weaken our faith in who we are, what we believe to be true about ourselves. And all of that begins to create this identity within us that'll keep us procrastinating. It'll keep us stuck. It'll keep us going in the same circle. It'll keep us repeating the same patterns and the same lessons, never really advancing. So one of the ways that we can begin to improve ourselves and get ourselves in a way to receive blessings that God has for us is learning how to keep our word to ourselves. That will help us to have more confidence, more self-respect, more self-love, and more self-approval within who we are. Next is jealousy and envy. So when we are jealous of other people's success, jealous of other people's financial status, jealous of other people's relationships, appearance, body, things they've accomplished, that negative energy actually takes away from our energetic field, and it causes us to become a vibrational mismatch to the blessings that God has for us. Not only does it create a disconnect within ourselves, it also creates negative energy in the atmosphere. And one thing we don't want to do is ever be jealous or envious of anything that God has for anybody, because God has great things in store for all of us that are uniquely suited for our own individual pursuit of excellence and greatness. So let go of any type of jealousy or envy that you feel towards anybody. Next, I want to talk about not taking action. When you don't take action, how are you going to get the blessing? Like we already know, faith without works is dead. But when we decide to align our action with faith, then we're almost guaranteed to succeed, because in life you don't really lose if you learn. And if you learn something, it's not a loss. Everything we want isn't always going to happen when we want it or how we want it. And some of the blessings that we think we may get from doing something, they may come in a completely different shape or form. So just learning how to be consistent and taking one action step a day, whatever the goals are, taking an action step a day can make all the difference. And then just being inconsistent. God, this is something that I used to struggle with so much. When I tell you I was the most inconsistent person when it came to one thing, and that was my dreams. I was consistent in my spiritual practices. I'm consistent in my diet. I'm consistent in my relationships. But when it came to putting myself out there again after my heartbreak, when it came to, you know, showing up and being visible, like it really took a toll on me. So I struggled a lot with inconsistency, and even prior to the heartbreak. And I'll share that in another video. But just starting and stopping because of perfectionism, or because of overthinking, or because, oh, I need more knowledge, or oh, I don't feel ready. All of those things cause us to be inconsistent. And the truth of the matter is, you have to realize that any day, and this is what helped me, any day life can be over with. Like any day. And we sit up here and we walk around like we have all the time in the world. But in the truth, we don't have all the time in the world. As a matter of fact, we don't even know how much time we have. Like this can literally be it. So doing the work that you put here to do is all that matters. Whatever that is for you, is we got to get after it. So that can block the blessings. And then the last one I want to touch on is sometimes people don't have your best interest. Like, you may be hyped and excited about something that you've been dreaming about and you're finally doing it. And then you start talking about it and telling people about it. And what you'll notice is, depending upon who you're actually sharing this information with, all of a sudden energy may begin to leave your field. Like, you may start all of a sudden just not feeling up to it. You may, start getting distracted with something else. You may lose your momentum. But one way or the other, you may not make it to that destination, because sometimes when you tell people things, it literally takes away from the energy that causes the manifestation, depending on who these people are. And so that's why it's a good idea to not tell nobody nothing. Like, don't speak anything until you have done what you're supposed to do. I mean, unless it's, maybe somebody really trust and love. But even then, sometimes, even they have good intentions, it can still take away from the energy. So that's a wrap on this. Let's just recap. 9 things that block blessings. Lack of faith. When you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in God and you don't believe in your abilities to accomplish things, you're not going to get the blessings, because you're not going to take the action that's required, and you're not going to feel worthy or good enough to even receive the blessings. Next, a lack of self-worth. When you don't believe in your value, you are not going to take the necessary steps or goals or plans and execute on any of that, because you don't deep down inside even feel worthy or good enough or deserving of it. So learning how to have more self-worth and base your self-worth on spiritual principles and not on worldly standards. A lack of accountability blocks blessings. When you're not accountable for your thoughts, your words, your actions, the food you put in your body, how you manage your finances, your relationship, the action steps you take, when you lack accountability and the role you're playing in your own life, then you end up taking on the role of a victor instead of the role of a victim instead of that of a victor. And so we want to begin to be accountable and practice accountability and say, you know what? My past hasn't been perfect, but my past was preparation for my purpose, and keep moving forward. Next, a lack of self-acceptance. When we reject or repress or suppress parts of ourselves that we may be embarrassed of or that we haven't fully embraced, that in itself creates a negative mental and emotional imbalance within. And that causes us to be divided within ourselves, and it takes energy away from us. It makes us feel depressed. It makes us feel sad. It leads to unfulfillment. And all of that stuff can have a physical impact on our body and lead to diseases. So we want to begin to take into consideration learning how to accept all of ourselves. Next, not keeping our word to ourselves. When we don't keep our word to ourselves, we won't believe anything we say, and we won't show up for ourselves, and we won't take the necessary steps to get unstuck and to move forward in our goals and our dreams. So learning how to keep your word to yourself, even if it's just one thing, like, I'm going to drink a glass of water every morning. I'm going to go for a walk for 10 or 20 minutes, 2 to 3 days a week. I'm going to take one action step towards my goal or my dream today, and then actually follow through. This builds self-confidence. This builds self-image, because you now are keeping your word to yourself, and you're breaking those subconscious patterns that keep you going in circles and keep you stuck. And we also talked about jealousy and envy. So we know that being jealous and envious of other people takes energy away from us, but it also creates negative energetic imbalances in ourselves, in the atmosphere, in the energetic realm, and also towards those people. We want to understand that that negative energy is not of God, it's from the enemy. And so we want to begin to rid ourselves of everything that will block us and block our connection from being vessels of light for the creator of all that exists. Next, we talked about not taking action. We already know faith without works is dead. So if you don't take action, you're not going to get the results. We understand also that it's about having faith and, having a plan, but action is a part of it. And then lastly, 2 more, being inconsistent. So if we start one day, stop, start one day, stop, start one day, stop, we never going to get to our destination. But if we take one action a day, we will get there. We will get there, and we will get there in a way, and we'll arrive on time. And then lastly, telling people about certain goals or dreams, or telling people about things you're working on, or telling people about where you are in life, that actually can be something that blocks blessings, because sometimes people have the evil eye, even when they may not even intend to have an evil eye. Like, they may just telling people that information can take energy away from the spiritual and physical manifestation of what it is that is on its way to you. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'll share some resources below. I want to know from you, what is one thing that you're going to do starting today to make yourself a receiver and a giver of blessings? Like, how are you going to open yourself up to bless other people? And how are you going to open yourself up to receive your blessings? Are you going to work on your faith? You're going to work on being more accountable? Are you going to work on, maybe keeping things to yourself until they come into fruition? I want you to drop a comment below and let me know. Until next time, take care and God bless.